And now we are joined by Complexity Black, very own Twix, Mike Shane Twix. What's going on, Twix?
How's it going? Get the name right. Come on.
I know, my bad there. And of course, Jazzy Brandon Clark from BG9, also getting the first place finish there, the Relentless Gladiator. What's going on, Jazzy?
Not much, just chilling.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Arena Season 7. It just ended about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Jazz, you did end up getting first place with your team. Kind of talk about how you guys got to first place and how you guys stayed there throughout the end of the season.
Well, we kind of made our team. Dalaran and I have been playing together since the beginning of Season 6, as I've said before. And we were pretty much like shopping for paladins, I guess you could say. And once we found our paladin, we just made a team straight to the top. And between our coordination and the pally really just has to sit in the back and just do whatever. As long as he does pally things. It's not, I mean, obviously it is hard to play one, but it's not like it's an extreme key component to the group, I guess you could say. And so we found our paladin, we climbed up, we made our team, and just kind of kept going. We didn't really Q-dodge anyone, I guess you could say. We just kind of pushed up. There were some teams we wanted to avoid playing though, like just in general. If we knew that we're on, we just just might want to quit. For example, if there were, especially when Destro locks were really tough. Like Holy Pally Ellie Destro was really tough for us on Ring of Valor. It was just so hard to like pass those kind of teams. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a coughing fit here.
That's
Anyway,
all right. So
yeah.
actually, one of the things I want to bring up with your team going through is, of course, you are running Marks Hunter, Prot Warrior, and then you spoke of your Paladin a minute ago, and that's one of the things that is going to receive a little bit of change going into the next season here. But I actually had the opportunity to play against you on one of my alts here, and it wasn't very pleasant. The amount of damage that you two are able to put out with your gear selection is pretty incredible. Do you think that, there's a lot of people out there that like to try to put it down and say, y'all didn't deserve the first place or anything like that? What would you actually say to those people?
And to the people that say we don't deserve it, I can tell them to F off, I guess. We have worked our asses off for it. We've honed our strats versus every single team we've come across. We've picked and choose what type of gear we want for specific teams we're facing. I've made my spec pretty much the best spec I could for marks. As far as my survival goes, knowing that I'm like one of the hardest targets, or one of the easiest targets to pick and kill, obviously. Everyone's just like, get on the hunter. So that works most of the time for some teams, but I keep myself up as well as I can. But those people just need to I don't know, I think we deserved it. We played really well.
All right, and one of those teams that you guys actually did play against quite a lot during the end of the season was, of course, Twix's team with Flex and Toes. Twix, I guess I'm going to ask you the hard question, and you guys might not be friends after this, but did they deserve it?
Um, I don't know. I hate the "did they deserve it" topic because people always say we don't deserve the stuff we get, but I think clearly we do. So I'm not one to judge whether they deserve it or not. But um, I will say the Paladin made a big difference because the teams without him on it, their other teams with the other healers were a ton easier to play against than the ones with him. So I think that was a key change for their team.
Yeah, and one of the big things for me, even from going between live to tournament scenes, is these are things that anyone can go out there and do. Now, you may not have the same gear choices or whatever when it goes to live, but you can still go out there and try to mimic what other teams are doing and go for that first place slot. And you look at the same thing, Josh taking first on BG9, Twigs and Complexity Black winning various tournaments over the year. If you think that they don't deserve it, then go behind them and do it better. It's what I'm going to say all the way through. But let's go ahead and transition over a little bit. And Josh, let's talk a little bit about what your plans are for Season 8.
Um, I think we're gonna play the same team. We're just gonna have to hone our strats a little bit more, as I said. Just got to figure out new things. Obviously, the Warbringer change is going to make it a little bit harder for Dalaran to get away from things like the rogues on him. The intervene's going to obviously dispel it, but the charge and intercept to another player will not remove crippling, and so that player might be able to get away just a little bit easier. And same things with Frost Novas. We're going to have to be very wary of those. But I think we still plan on playing the same comp, same Paladin, same Warrior, same Hunter.
And now I'll turn over to Twigs too. Been talking to Flex a lot. I think he pretty much has every single class in the game geared up at this point, and he's just a monster when it comes to this game. But as far as live goes, what exactly are your plans for season 8?
I mean, we're gonna run Beast Cleave because that's our main comp. But as you said, there's so many other side comps we're messing with now, and it's all those just in cases. And if it ever happens, if we're ever in a position against like Button Bashers again, where do we need to pull out something different that they're not used to because they're getting so used to this now? It's always good to have. And I think the prod changes are going to be huge for any prod warrior that doesn't have two-piece PvE now, because I think first of all that'll be a necessity. Before it was like it was amazing when you had it just put you over the top, but now it might just barely get you by. And I think a lot of the nerfs are like really bad for the comp. I think now with the damage change and everything, and then on top of it, then the nerfs. I think it'll be a lot harder.
Yeah, I do believe I'm going to have to try to still flex from you on one of his characters and try to get some threes going. But,
Yeah, he's
one of the
got
big
like
things...
six,
One of the big things is, of course, it has been brought up a little bit, is the prot changes, which on specifically BG9, I was one of those guys. I did actually run with Flex on his prot warrior and Toes playing a paladin, and we actually ran it into Glad last week after we got back from Orlando. And, it was nerfed. It's going to be nerfed very shortly after and coming into Season 8, and it is going to be a huge influence for a lot of teams out there, but I still think that there's going to be that ability that these teams that are good at what they do, that they're going to make it work. That's how it always goes with good players. They'll find ways to make things work, and if not, that's whenever you start seeing the evolution of teams and people making up different comps.
That sounds about right.
So one of the last topics we want to talk about here in this segment is the changes to resilience. And while a lot of us, pretty much everyone actually, hasn't really been able to play with this change to the resilience, Jazz, playing as much as you did in Season 7, what do you think about this change? Do you think it's better for Arena? Do you think it's worse for Arena? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, currently on live, the extra doubling damage of the crits is going to negate a lot of damage, obviously. I think it's slowing the game down to where people only have, let's say, Season 6 gear in Season 7. That's kind of how it's slowed down to. But once Season 8 hits, I think the damage in Season 8 will be roughly relative to Season 7. So the damage will still be there, but people will have obviously 2 to 3k more HP, so it'll still slow the game down, and some damage will be lessened. But I think once people get their weapons and their other upgrades and PvE stuff, and it'll be probably roughly the same kind of damage.
Jazz, you talked a little bit about live. Twix, you being the tournament player here, how's this going to affect tournament play?
Well, we've been playing on MLG Realm all week, messing around on prop paladins, or just everyone's playing different classes, and it's just we're pickup playing, just us three versus you three. What can we actually run, and then we just run it and have fun with it. And on live about the change, actually, if you remember in Season 6, there was no resilience like that affected all damage, and then they added in Season 7 to 10%. And you can say Season 7 was the burstiest in a long time. So that was a 10% increase from Season 6. And now we're doing another 10% increase from Season 7. Do you think... I'm not even sure if we're going to notice that change. And I can tell you from playing... It's supposed to be in the game right now after the servers resetted throughout the week. And from playing on MLG Realm, I mean... the damage feels very similar for most classes. I will say it's a little bit different for some maybe, but as a whole in threes, when 2 people are on their target, it's still very high.
And, I've actually had the opportunity, I've been scrimming a lot on live with just various people trying out different things. Just honestly, we've been having a lot of fun the last few nights here over the week. And I am seeing a little bit of shift. Now, this is also, we do not have the Season 8 gear yet, and I cannot emphasize enough how huge of a change that will be as, the heroic gear starts opening up and everyone moves into Season 8 gear, which we still haven't even seen the stats on yet, and it could be another huge leap past Season 7. And right now, you kind of do see that a little bit of a shift where, Warlocks seem that little bit more better. Druid healers, kind of take that step up as we're used to seeing from TVC. But I kind of agree with Twix a little bit that, once we do step up to that next level of gear, it's not going to be that huge change that everyone's thinking it's going to be. It'll influence Arena a little bit, but it's not going to just completely revamp it, and it's not going to go back to the way of TBC.
Yeah, I mean it'll be minor changes that all those little things will help. Like let's say druids because of the way their class is, or somewhat warlocks too. But still, if you have two melee classes on the warlock, it's still gonna shut him down a little bit. Also, he's still gonna be under a lot of pressure.
All right, Dan. Twix, I guess I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag here, but I've been seeing you playing a Ret Paladin. Now, can we? Is this hinting anything at possibly a Ret Paladin comp, or are you just playing this for fun, or what's going on with that class?
Well, I mean, Flex has so many classes. It's like I feel obligated now that I have to kind of step it up and put some more time into picking up extra classes for those just in case moments. And it's actually a prot ret, and uh, the funny thing is Flex is actually picking up prot ret now too. So
Wait,
it's
so hold on. So on top of his Feral Druid, his Prot
yeah,
Warrior, his Blood DK, what else am I missing here? Is that
Enhancement Shaman, that one.
enhancements?
yeah,
Oh yeah, of course, the
yeah,
enhancement shaman. He's picking up another class that I have to run
yeah.
raids with. Is that what you're telling?
Uh, I don't know if it's picking up officially, but he is officially messing around with it in pickup games on the tournament realm. So
All right, and Jazzy, you're up in our next segment. You're going to be playing with your team straight to the top against the global champions, TSG, who we really have not seen a lot since BlizzCon. Rumor has it that they have not actually played a single game since BlizzCon. What are your feelings going into this match, and do you guys think you can take it?
I think it's going to be a little rough. I know Paladin mana is going to be a really key component with the resilience change, and obviously in Season 5 gear and how damage is slowed down. So I think they're going to be long games, and it's going to stretch out to either Paladin mana or just an extremely lucky kill, since neither team has a lot of um, casting crowd control, I guess you could say. So I think honestly we might take it. I'm not really sure. They're going to be really good games. I think they're going to be really close.
Now, Zilia has made a lot of fuss on his blog on how he feels about Alorand and that prot spec. A lot of people are saying that he's actually nervous to face you guys because apparently he ran into you on BG9 with a priest. I think it was Soda actually, and you guys obliterated him. So, are you kind of gonna enjoy these matches against Zilia, or are you just gonna take it like any other team online?
Well, I am not a personal fan of Zillia. We had our conflicts, and so I'm probably going to enjoy it more than most people would.
All right. Well, I guess you really don't have to say much more than that. And with that, we'll just go ahead and lead on right into our weekly arena match between TSG and Straight to the Top. All right, guys. Jazzy had to go run and play his match, but of course Twix stuck around, and we're ready for our weekly arena match between TSG and Straight to the Top. Gof, take it away.
Now this is where the action starts. You have TSG. I mean, there's no other way to look at them besides global champions this past year, an amazing team, and now coming against Straight to the Top, Jazzy playing Hunter, Alaran on Warrior, and their new Paladin. These guys took rank 1 on one of the most competitive battle groups out there. And now to get these two teams to face off in the arena, it's going to be absolutely incredible. So Twigs, right now, just looking at the comps in themselves, Mark's Prot Warrior Paladin versus TSG, which is Warrior DK Paladin. What are your thoughts?
I think TSG has the advantage comp wise, and I think it's going to be a lot of trouble for the Prot Warrior team. So I
Yeah,
think
one of the big things playing on this realm, I mean, we're playing with the most recent patch. So all the changes, everything you're playing with live, it may not be current gear, but everything else is up to date. Meaning we're going to see a lot of different changes. And, of course, that resilience hotfix that came through is going to affect the arena a whole lot. But gates are about to open. We're going to play game 1 on Dalaran Arena, and here we go. Just kind of taking a look at things now. Both teams kind of squaring off, and Warriors going to go head in. And now you see it, a little bit of action going on to Jaws, immediately dropping down around 2,000 HP, and you see a lot of freedoms bouncing off between both teams, is trying to minimize a little bit of damage. Jaws still the focus of everything. HOJ all going on to him. This TSG just looks like they're going to focus on him completely. He's trying to get away a little bit, and he's able to kite away, but as you see, there's an intervene to come across, and that's kind of a little bit of a shield wall that Prot Warriors do have for their teammates. But Josh is just sitting there tanking Vive. There's a Blade Storm, but Valrath drops down to 10,000 HP. AMS is up, and Josh is just going to sit there to that Blade Storm with a little bit of a late deterrence, but not too much worried about it. Intimidating shout going to come across from Vive, but nothing big to follow through, as there's not a lot of CC to come across from a TSG comp. Now Valrath still dropping a little low. He's going to go ahead into Frost Presence, as you know they're looking just to sit him through this game. Now, this is what we're talking about in a little bit of these slower games. No one's really going down too quickly or anything. It's going to come down to a little bit of a mana war, which is one of the things that we talked about recently in the show. Now Jaws dropping down to around 10,000 HP. You do see Sack go up from his Paladin, so cooldown slowly being torn through here. And still Valrath not taking a lot of damage. Just Prot Warrior and Hunter not doing as much as we're used to seeing from this comp, and they're just going to ride Valrath through his cooldowns. And now over looking at mana real quick, you actually have Zilia sitting well off around 11k, and actually Ellis dropping below 10,000, so it looks like TSG a little bit more pressure at this point. There's the Gnaw over onto the Paladin, straight to the top, and Josh is still just taking a ton of damage while they're trying to run through Valrath. Now you see Josh catching a lot of heals, but this might come down to blue bars, which is not something that we're used to talking about in these kind of arena games. Now they are finally going to swap targets over to Vive, who is going to head over to D-Stance and try to mitigate a little bit of damage. You do see some CC come through over on Azilia. His Shockwave followed by a Silence, but it's still not a lot. John's still taking a ton of damage. Down below 10,000 HP. There's a second deterrent. Did use Readiness. Zilia did drop a little low, but not going to be much pressure now that Jaws is still sitting there at no HP, trying to get away, pet by his side. Now there was a quick swap over to the Paladin straight to the top. He does have to bubble with that Strangulate up. He's going to heal himself up and pick Jaws up as well, but still pressure completely in the hands of this TSG comp. Valrath does dip down to around 10k HP. There's a sack that does come across, and now we're seeing a swap once again over to the Paladin, straight to the top, while Jaws is still staying at 2,000 HP. Jaws getting very low. A deterrence comes up once again, and a bop at the same time with the Gnaw to Ellis, but Al ran low as well. All three members straight to the top, very low. Ellis down to 1,000 HP, and down he goes, and that'll be doing it. This TSG comp completely start to finish in control of this game. I mean, Twix, you talked about it a little bit before, but I mean, after watching it, it all came through as expected.
Yeah, I mean, I played against the same team in Germany at American Regional Finals, and they did the same exact strategy to the PhD I ran, which is in some ways similar to this Prot Warrior team. And when they split and they have the Warrior trying to lock down the Hunter, keep them busy, and the DK on the Paladin interrupting them, it just is really, really, really difficult to deal with.
Now a quick look at damage. Take a quick look at damage done. Valrath 201,000, Vive 183,000 versus Jaws' 74,000 and Alaran's 98k. So I mean, just even looking at damage, it's completely in control of TSG.
It just shuts the Hunter down. And Marks has been the same. You know, it hasn't really received much attention in tweaking talent-wise with buffs or nerfs. And when Season 5 was around, most people didn't really bother with Marks at all because of the way it is with gear and how important gear is. And I don't think the Hunter team is going to be able to put out enough pressure to turn this around.
A quick little note before the next match starts. Jazzy actually late to join this arena because he was missing shoulder and helm enchants, he's telling me. So obviously that didn't play into the grand scale of things, but every little bit matters here in this intense arena match between these two teams.
Well, that's actually a great example as you talk about, trying to get some of these new faces in the arena. Those are the kind of mistakes that we do see at LANs as well. I mean, new players come in, you forget a little thing here or there, but honestly, an extra 150 AP and, a percentage crit would not have changed that game whatsoever.
Yeah, one of the things I think a lot of people don't realize is that TSG has not actually played together since the global finals, and Zillia hasn't really played with anyone, as far as I know, on his Paladin in quite some time. So to see these guys come out so strong against the BG9 #1 team is quite surprising, but Gopher looks like we're starting the matchup, so take it away.
So game 2 is going to be played on the Grand Arena. Once again, Warriors at it right in the middle. Now this TSG comp, I don't expect them to change anything up at all, but actually they're going to put some pressure early on to the Paladin of straight to the top. They know they just have to get to a target and stick to it. It's pretty much the dominant thing that's been going on with Cleave since the beginning. They just need to make it to a target. And now you see V bladestorming onto Josh, dropping down to 6,000 HP, while Ellis is strangulated already. So here we see it once again, but at the same time, Zillia did have to bubble. Josh still hovering around 6,000 HP, is going to have to deterrence very early in this game, finally getting out of there, and it actually looks like they're trying to put a little bit of damage over onto the Warrior of TSG, but Ellis is going to have to bubble as well. So this game going a lot quicker than the last game, as both Paladins have bubbled at this point, but now Zillia has to be careful, as they have to be looking to try to swap to him. But the big thing is, can they lock down Jaws' damage? Now Dalaran dipping a little low there, but still nothing too dangerous yet, and it looks like that Vive is looking just to ride Jaws once again. Valrath does drop a little bit low, hovering around 15,000 HP or so, but still things are still very slow in these games. Now you see it. There's the damage onto Zillia, down to 8,000 HP. Jaws' pet will die in that process, and we do see the HRJ onto Dalaran to slow down some of the damage, but they're both back onto Zillia. Zillia down to 5,000 HP, is going to pop wings. You see Jaws disengage back around the pillar. Zillia is so low, and so is Ellis, as both of these teams have just abandoned their Paladins at this point, and now it looks like finally these teams are going to come back through and try to save one another, but still Zillia in a lot of trouble, down to 4,000 HP in silence, trying to get around the pillar, channeling some heals, and there's the damage just rolling through, but Jaws is completely out of mana, as this is one of the things we talk about with the Marks and Season 5 gear. It just does not bring the same thing as we're used to on live, and Zillia just kiting around this pillar, keeping himself up. But now really you got to look to his two teammates, Valrath and Vive. It look like they're going to try to swap over to Jaws and try to do a little bit of damage. And now Valrath and Vive are going to establish onto the Paladin straight to the top. You see him dipping very low quickly, 12,000 HP, and Dalaran going to come back across, try to mitigate some of that damage with an intervene onto his Paladin. But still, taking a quick look at mana, Ellis up straight to the top, 3,700, Zillia 5K, so still TSG at a little bit of a lead. Valrath dropping down to 10,000 HP, still sitting in Frost Presence, catching a few heals, as it looks like it's just a Paladin war at this point. Valrath very low, 5,000 HP. Wow, and there's that stun as well, and finally a bop will come across. He's going to go ahead and click that off, or actually it might have actually been trank shotted off there from Jaws, and he's still sitting at 13,000 HP, as that did pull off MS for just enough time for him to be picked up. Dalaran did shield wall to mitigate some damage there as he came around the pillar, but still both these Paladins very low on mana, but Zillia down to 2,000 mana as Ellis was able to pick his mana up there, up to 8,700. So if this drags on, it might actually go into the favor straight to the top, but Jaws once again taking an intense amount of damage, down to 8,000 HP. There's a bop onto him, trying to keep things safe, and Zillia taking a little bit of pressure as he is going to kite around the pillar once again. Ellis down below 10k HP, gonna get a huge holy shot there, as there's no mortal strike up just yet, and damage just being spread around all over the place at this point. And now you look at Vive over there taking a little bit of damage as well. Now, here we go. This is a point where things really get to start a little bit of worrying for Zillia. He's down to 2k mana, but the real problem here is Ellis is down very low on HP, and both of them immediately are sitting on top of him. Valrath drops down to 7,000 HP inside that shockwave, and Ellis is going to go ahead and kite around the pillar, try to keep himself up. And this looks like it might just drag on, as both of these Paladins are content with dragging the opposing DPS around a pillar and forcing them just not being able to do anything. And Divine Plea is just doing work in this game right now. Valrath, the lowest target here, drops down below 10k, getting a little low, but Zillia caught into an intimidating shout. Now things might get a little bit of trouble here. Finally will break through of that. Jaws still sitting very low, the target for most of this game. And now you see it finally. Alran able to get over to Zilia. Zilia goes down as finally both Jaws and Alran were able to connect. So just like that, straight to the top, able to turn things around a little bit. But look at once again, Jaws on that Mark Center out of mana, but it looks like Balrath will leave, leaving Beeb by himself. And there we go, 2 games played, tied up at 1-1.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but did Zilia actually bubble that game, or was he doing what Zilia does best, and that is try to never bubble in an arena match? I'm not sure if he actually bubbled. I
No,
know I saw the other
he did
opponent
early
bubble.
on.
Okay, it was an early bubble?
early on in the beginning.
But
All right,
even
so
still,
thanks
like,
for the-
once again, let's take a quick look at the damage. Balrath, 221,000. Beeb, 213,000 versus Jaws' 121,000, Alran's 170,000. So this TSG comp completely out-damaging straight to the top, but still straight to the top, able to drag it out, catch Zilia in a bad spot, and put him down.
Yeah, real quick, the players are telling me that Brandon Jazzy is actually going to fix a macro. I'm not really sure what macro that is, but he wasn't really specific. And also that Veeks messaged me that he is getting raid starved so bad with this change, and that they are actually queued. So looks like while we wait for straight to the top to queue, TSG is ready to go into another match. Twix, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I think TSG still had like full advantage that game with pressure wise and everything, but they might have left the Hunter open too much, and you saw most of their pressure on Zalea came when they left the Hunter alone and to do what he wanted to do. So even though Straight to the Top didn't have the pressure and damage-wise, they had those opportunities to possibly get a kill, and a lot of them sparked when the Hunter got free to do what he wanted to do.
So real quick, Twix, from your point of view here, you know, kind of watching Marks throughout that fight, really mana starved, but still having those burst possibilities here and there. Do you think Jaws is playing it smart by sticking with Marks, or personally for you, would you change things up and maybe try to take a survival route?
Well, survival against the heavy armor targets, it is good, but you know it still isn't that great. So he's used to marks and he's good at it. So it's probably best to play what you're most comfortable with in these situations.
All right, and our next game is going to be played on Ruins of Lordaeron. Now, last game we didn't get really to go through it too much on the map choice. Now, game 1 on Dalaran, kind of a tough map for anything to do with the Hunter. And while both melee are able to stick to a target that goes around boxes, it's a whole nother story when it comes to LOS. And now Ruins of Lordaeron, another map that's very open. The only thing that you have for an option of cutting is that middle sarcophagus. Do you think, Twix, do you think that this map plays in the favor of straight to the top?
Yeah, it should be a lot better than, let's say, Dalaran or sometimes maybe even the Grand. But I think if TSG sticks to their normal strategy, and because if they're going to try to go kill Straight to the Top's Paladin, I think Straight to the Top can kill TSG's Paladin before that. I think a Prot Hunter can drop a healer when left alone quicker than almost any other two class combinations in the game.
All right, out of the gates on Game 3, let's go ahead and follow Belligerence, and of course that's going to be Zilia playing that character for the team of TSG. Now, kind of that global champion here, kind of hanging back and let his 2 melee do his thing. Here we go for Game 3, tied up at 1-1. This was for the team to take an advantage. Very early silencing shot there. As you see, they're just trying to get pressure rolling at the beginning, and now you see Scatter going on as well. He's just trying to make Zilia fall behind in healing, and now you see Vive actually dropping a little low there for a bit, but Josh still the target as far as damage goes, and he's actually saw Retail used there as they're trying to just get as much damage out as possible. But Josh drops down to 11,000 HP very quickly, a very early sack used by Ellis, and an Aura Mastery as well, so it looks like straight to the top having to go through cooldowns very quick, but we do see a swap over to Zilia, who's out in the middle of the arena once again, down to 9,000 HP or so. Intimidating shot as well, going to freedom, 700 HP, not bubbling. Wow, I cannot believe
That's
he
Zilia
actually
right
got
there.
that up. I thought we were going to see a clutch Zilia moment.
I mean, what Zilia is known for doing that, always waiting to the last possible second, and sometimes even dying. So, I mean, I guess that's what you can expect from global champion Zilia.
There you hear it from JP. And now you see things kind of slow down, but that was a great swap from straight to the top. But now Jaws, once again, in trouble, down to 7,000 HP. Going to go ahead and deterrence as he catches a full heal, as Alaran is disarmed as well. But now Straight to the Top knows what they need to do. They're going to be looking to catch Zillia in a bad position and swap to him. And still, Ellis has not had to bubble yet. Alaran actually dropping a little low, but still nothing too intense yet, as Aviv is actually going to stick onto Jaws, so MS not up onto Alaran, so full heals going through there. But now looking at things, while they're not on Zillia, there's not a lot of damage going through. Now you see Josh actually swapping over to Zillia, trying to get some damage going, but it's him by himself right now as Alaran finally gets across. And there you see it as Zillia will use salvage himself, caught in a shockwave, down to 7,000, 2,000 HP, 3,000 HP. They're trying to put him down, and down goes Zillia once again, straight to the top, taking advantage of the situation and knowing that all they need to do is try to stick to Zillia. And I honestly cannot believe that he was able to get that bubble off earlier on in this game, but after 3 games played, straight to the top, up 2-1 over TSG.
Twix, I mean, I was kind of thinking that TSG was going to run the game, or run every match here, really. Are you kind of surprised at all? Am I alone in being surprised here?
Well, I'm not surprised the way the matches are playing out because of the way that they're playing it. Like, Zillia can't get caught. He can't get swapped to like that. He has to play the most defensively he can, the farthest away from everything, and he's just too much in the action right now. If he keeps playing like that, they might not win again.
So would you say that Zillia is actually being outplayed by the newcomer Ellis?
I think Ellis is handling the pressure very well. He's having to heal multiple targets, and he knows he doesn't panic, and he knows like he doesn't have MS on himself, so he's going to get topped off even if he's low, as long as he gets those heals through. And whereas I think Zillia is he's having some poor positioning right now.
I think it's pretty much said best there. And not to take anything away from Straight to the Top saying that they're not doing anything right, but they're seeing Zillia in these positions and just taking advantage of it. That bubble at the beginning of the last game, I mean, literally, he was at 300 HP, throws in a holy shock, and then bubbles, and still almost dies. I mean, it was that close, and they're still able to drag it out long enough. And, I mean, throughout that entire game, I don't even think Vive or Valrath got low at all. They were just waiting for that swap to Zillia.
It's the only target they can get a kill on. It's the only way they can win.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So here we go, game 4 between TSG and Straight to the Top. Straight to the Top with a little bit of advantage, sitting at 2-1 now. And now you see this damage starting on to Valrath in the beginning here. Early sign shot, soon to be followed by a scatter. And wow, Valrath actually dropping very low this game with the scatter onto Zillia. Valrath down to 1,600 HP, has to hit AMS and get bopped. Wow, that was actually pretty impressive pressure coming out from Straight to the Top. Didn't see that coming, and I don't think Zillia did either. Now you see the swap onto Zillia, who's in the middle of the bridge by himself. Has to bubble. Things are looking good for Straight to the Top already. Ellis under a little bit of pressure, but not bubbling yet. Going to go ahead and jump off the bridge, come down to the bottom, knowing that his team is sitting pretty at this point. Josh going to disengage over to his teammate and sit on that side of the bridge. And it looks like they're just going to try to ride this through. They know what they need to do at this point. Just make it through this game. And now you see it. Zillia under pressure once again. Alaran and Jaws both connecting to the same target, dropping down to 1,100 HP. He will jump off, try to channel some flashes into him, and Alaran will be caught up top. So it looks like Zillia will live to heal another day at this point. They're going to swap over to Valrath once again. It worked at the start of this game, dropping it down to around 13,000 HP. Up goes some cooldown, sack, and AMZ being used. Jaws is going to disengage off the bridge. That's not going to look pretty on camera. And he's going to have to run all the way back up to the other side. Going to go ahead and cheat himself up, speed up that process a little bit. But we'll see if this has to do anything in the long run. And now you see it, Ellis dropping down to around 8,000 HP. He finally does bubble. So a very late bubble from Ellis. And that actually was shattering throwed. And they are going to grip him back in, try to put him down. But he's going to freedom himself and get out of there. Now we do see some damage going on to Zillia, who is at the top of the bridge. They're trying to both get onto him as he kites down to the bottom of the ramp, but he's still sitting at plenty HP at this point. So Straight to the Top needs to do something here, change something up, and they are going to do just that by swapping over to Vive. Now Jaws dropping a little low, but Valrath actually dropping down to 12,000 HP. And now you see Vive sitting on top of Ellis, hitting Blade Storm. Ellis down to 6,000 HP, getting very low as both melee are established onto him. Freedoms himself. You do see Wings up as he's trying to get away, but Valrath very low as well. 7,000 HP. There's that scatter and silence on Azilia as heals are trying to come through onto Valrath, but Ellis down to 2k HP, 94 HP, and down goes Ellis as his TSG is trying to bring it back. And there we go as Jaws will leave. 4 games played, tied up 2-2.
You know, I was going to say before the match started there, Keith had to cut me off. But I think Vive, knowing how he works with this team and knowing his relationship with Zaleo, is actually probably yelling at him in Vent. Probably have to ask him after the matches are over to see exactly what was said in between that match. But, I mean, Twix, what do you think of the last match?
I think there's 2 key moments. In the beginning, if you looked at Valrath, he wasn't in Frost when they were on him. And he didn't go Frost until he was sub 2k health. And that forced Zalea to get all the way up into the action instead of playing defensive, forced him to blow a lot of cooldowns to keep him up, and it left him open for the easy swap to force him to bubble. So at that point, Straight to the Top had full advantage, full control of the match, until Jay has disengaged off the bridge, and then from that point on, Straight to the Top had no momentum. They lost all their pressure. Their Paladin had to bubble during that disengage while he was running back up. And then they just could never establish another clean swap back to Zalea to get a kill.
Yeah, just actually talking with Jazz about that disengage, he's saying that his hands are actually really, really cold right now, so he's a little bit nervous, and I think that led to that disengage off the bridge.
We got to get Pooks near with that hairdryer, see if he'll loan it off to some of these guys playing these tournaments. So, after 4 games played, we are tied up 2-2. 5th game is going to be played on Ruins of Lordaeron. Now, once again, still one of those maps I think that does favor Straight to the Top a little bit here, but, you know, no bridge to disengage off. No offense, Jaws, but I'm going to have to put that last game on you at this point.
I also think you can see TSG's rust a little bit because their swaps aren't as clean as they used to be.
So here we go, game 5, and once again, early pressure coming across the Jaws as he's just going to kite through the Frost Trap. They're actually going to try to start the same thing once again onto Valrath, but he starts out in Frost presence this game, but still Zilia will go ahead and sack. And now you see an actual Blaze Storm used on Jaws, and what is this, a Warrior Blaze Storm, and no one drops below 20,000 HP? This has to be Season 5 gear, and now you see Zilia trying to kite out there, does freedom himself, and it looks like it was actually dispelled by Alran right there. Gotta love those little bit of RNGs here and there. And now you see once again Vive just gonna go ahead and hit Recklessness and try to establish onto Ellis, but still not a lot of damage going across from either team just yet. Valrath taking a little bit of damage as Jaws is going to sit onto him, but they're just trying to establish onto Ellis, dropping him down to 13,000 HP finally, and now you see it. Now the pressure starting to roll for this TSG comp. Ellis down to 7,000 HP, trying to get away, but there you see the grip, 2,000 HP, bubbles at 601 HP, and he got instantly shattering thrown. What just happened there? He almost died for the looks of it. It does get shattering thrown. There's a strangulate after. Simple and done. TSG looks like they might have knocked the rust off right there.
That looked really good. I think one thing I think they actually used Bladestorm that game, if I'm not mistaken, to just kill the pet, because everybody was bunched up, and they figured possibly they figured it wouldn't get any heals, because without that pet, it makes it harder for the hunter to get mana back. It cuts down his mobility with no Master's Call. You have no Aurora Sacrifice now. There's a lot of abilities that he uses with his pet that they can just get rid of very early in the match. And I think that is what they went for that game.
Right, just taking a quick look at damage breakdown. I mean, you talk about the Blade Storm while they're all grouped up. Vive doing 72,000. He basically almost out-damaged both Jaws and Alaran in that game. And, you know, you talk about in that Blade Storm, no one really dropped low as far as players, but killing the pet, it is a huge deal for hunters. And now you're looking at it after this game played, TSG in a little bit of a lead here, and after watching that game, I mean, it was clean as can be.
Yeah, I mean, if you notice, they tried to go for Zalea on TSG, but his positioning was better, and Jahaz couldn't commit to chase him in case they went on Jahaz because he can't over pursue that. So once TSG killed the pet, then stopped them from going Zalea, they saw that good opportunity to go Paladin, and they did it, and they did it clean. And I should probably take back what I said about them before about a little rust there.
Yeah,
That looked really good.
Couple quick comments from V before this match starts really quickly. He's saying that this feels like the most dumbed down, watered down arena ever. It's so slow paced. There's no strat or skill. It's just train a target. What do you guys think about?
I
You
think
know,
that
it's a change with Season 5 gear, but you know what? They gotta win them all. They gotta win the series before you can talk like that. That's the only thing I can say. So we're gonna head into the game here, and you see it once again. They're actually gonna start on the pet of Jaws. You see it dropping very low, and Veeps just gonna go ahead and Bladestorm it. Yeah, just like Twix said earlier, they're gonna Bladestorm onto the pet of Jaws, and there it is going to go down. So, I mean, now you see exactly what TSG is going for, not using Bladestorm to get momentum or anything. They're just going to put down the pet early on and reduce a lot of the cooldowns coming out from Jaws. And now you see it once again, pressure on to Ellis, and dropping down below 10k HP very quickly. There's the Gnaw, and immediately intercepted as well. God, he's taking an incredible amount of damage. And you see him just trying to get away, but both these melee with so many various ways to get back to their target, Ellis is not able to get very far. Still hovering on 6,000 HP, and there's the bubble. And now Shattering Throw coming in, and there it is. He's able to top himself off before it went through. Intimidating Shout immediately follows, and in this process, Alaran's getting low as well. Now Zilia getting a little low, sticking in that scatter shot. He's just going to bubble there, just figure why not at this point. And now Alaran's actually going to be the target for a few seconds there, but Vive drops down to around 10k HP as Jaws is going to sit him through at this moment, but Ellis is going to be in trouble right here unless something can happen. Alaran drops down to 1,000 HP, shield wall goes up, Bop goes through onto Alaran to save him. Wow, just like that, a Prot Warrior gets dropped to nothing. Again, one of those things we talked about, resilience on Prot Warriors, going to be a thing of the past, I think, but wait and see. Ellis still sitting around 10k HP, does have wings up, trying to get away from both these melee. Now Vive Freedom finally does fall down, and Bladestorm is back up. As you see, Vive's just going to try to stick onto Ellis, who is caught inside that Gnaw, still sitting pretty well off on HP, but the pressure is completely in the hands of TSG at this point. Vyrath finally dropping below 10,000 HP, 7k HP, 5,000 HP. You see Jaws and Alaran trying to get some damage. Killshot did go in. 900 HP, sacks his pet, picks himself up. Zilia caught inside a scatter shot. There's the concussion blow, but still. Now Jaws the one that's going to be taking pressure on this side. Finally going to go ahead and deterrence. Varlas still sitting around 5,000 HP. No one wants to die in this situation. Varlas going to kite around a little bit and try to stay out of line of sight of Jaws, who finally makes it back across. Valrath 500 HP, and finally, there you go. You see Ellis comes across and puts in the killing blow on the Valrath. I said it before the match started. You're going to call it slow and dumbed down. You got to win the games first. And it's going to leave Zilia and Vive versus the three-man of Straight to the Top. Looks like they might actually play this out as Ellis is completely tapped on mana at this point. But Vive dropping below 10,000 HP. He is going to go ahead and shield wall. And he's trying to get over to Ellis, but not a lot you're going to be able to do here. As you know, both of the DPS of Alaran and Jazz are just going to sit the Warrior at this point. And there you see it finally, Vive going to go down. Zilia by himself, 6 games played, tied up 3-3. So we are going to come to match point in this series, best of 7 between TSG and Straight to the Top. So Twix, I mean, after watching that last game there, honestly, if you're on the side of Straight to the Top, what's going through your head?
Well, I think they just need to hope they get another map like Ruins one more time. I think that plays really well into their hands. I don't know how Ellis actually lived with that Knob Bladestorm on him. He was at like 12k, I think, when it started. That was pretty clutch play by him to survive that. And map selection is going to be pretty huge for this last game.
So JP, Global Champions versus Rank 1 BG9 Season 7. It's coming down to the wire. Who
Are you gonna make me
who you gonna
choose?
pick
Oh
here?
my.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. I wanna. You never get put on the spot. I want a prediction.
A prediction, awesome. Well, I don't know. I mean, I raid with these straight to the top kids, and Viv's probably one of my best friends when it comes to the WoW world. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna take
Come on.
the cocky Viv here, just because I like his attitude about all of this. He always seems to be like the man on top of everything. So he was also a little bit whiny right after that last match about that freezing trap. I don't know if you guys caught.
Yeah.
I also
Well,
think I also think they got a little bit dangerous because Alaran didn't have like they were getting AoE damage into him and he didn't have beacon on him, so that damage wasn't getting healed up, and they thought they could get a kill on him and they got really close, but they put a lot of effort into doing that swap. So that was
So here we go, Game 7. It comes down to this on Dalaran Arena. A little bit of a disadvantage for straight to the top, I might say, but if they want to take this series, they got to take it here. And now you see it once again. Both these melee going to go ahead and try to put down Jaws' pet. Hovering around 10,000 HP, it's not going to really have a prayer in hell here, as Viv is going to Blade Storm on top of it, dropping down to 2,000 HP, and there it goes. Professor Snape's not going to make it very far whatsoever, and Ellis immediately swapped to after they put the pet down. Jaws caught inside that HOJ, and once again, Alaran dropping very low just through AE damage coming from this TSG comp, and still no pressure coming out from straight to the top. And now you see it, Ellis dropping down to 7,000 HP. He has to bubble very early. Things are not looking good for straight to the top at this point. And they're just going to ride it through. Alaran dropping down a little low now, as you see Viv and Valrat just trying to ride damage through, because as soon as they can get over to Ellis, which is going to be right now, they're going to try to put damage onto him. Ellis is going to try to kite away to the... Yeah, Ellis is going to try to kite away to the other box, and now you see it, Alaran dropping a little low just through pure AE damage at this point, and now Ellis pretty much left to himself trying to get away from both of these melee. Now Valrath dropping a little low, but still straight to the top, unable to get any pressure going. These HOJs continuously being landed onto Jaws, and now finally an HOJ onto Valrath, who's caught behind the pillar there. It will be cleansed by Zillia. Zillia dropping a little low, down to actually under 10,000 HP. Only Alaran. Finally, Jaws is able to get over to him. Zillia down to 5,000 HP. Now you see the damage coming through. Gonna hit a holy shot. 1,400 HP. Down goes Zillia. Viv and Valrath are left to themselves versus straight to the top, and this looks like this may go in the favor of straight to the top on a map I did not think they were going to be able to do it on. Everyone before said TSG had the advantage. Viv with that final Blade Storm trying to get something going with the Strangulate onto Ellis, but that'll do it. Viv is going to leave, and here we go with Global Champions versus Rank 1 BG9. Straight to the top is going to take it 4-3.
I'm guessing I'm gonna have to bite my tongue there. I thought Viv had that, but apparently not, according to what just happened. So
if you saw, like, the Hunter was left open that whole game, and he was just controlling the Paladin. The Paladin had to use all his defensive cooldowns to keep Val up, and pretty much like he bubbled a scatter shot that game. So when they went on him, like, it was just one swap, and he just died in the stuns.
You know, there's a couple things that I take away from watching this series. The big thing for TSG, whenever their swaps got a little cleaner and everything, you know, of course, a double melee comp, it's not exactly my favorite thing to watch by any means. It's very simple, but when their swaps got clean, things worked for them. Whenever they weren't clean, whenever Zillia was out in the middle, bad positioning, they lost games. And now it was a little bit slower pace than what we've seen in the past, and honestly, I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I can re-say. I don't think they were exactly rusty in the fact that, like, they weren't playing good. I just think they haven't been around for a little bit, so they just have to get reused to the game a little bit more again. I think they'll be fine.
Actually, talking with Jazzy right after that match, he just wants to say good games to them. It was very tough, and all of our hearts are pounding, and that people said it couldn't be done in Season 5 gear, but look what we did.
Can't deny that.
Yeah, I think they did really well. But if you saw, if you look at the damage they're putting out here compared to the damage that the numbers they have on live, it is completely opposite ends. And I really think more so TSG gave this match away than Straight to the Top. Straight to the Top played really well and they deserved the win. But I think TSG could have played it better.
We're actually going to get Vive in Vent here in a couple seconds. We're waiting on him to join. So while we wait, Keith, I mean, are you surprised? Because I think I'm kind of surprised.
I'm extremely surprised. My biggest thing here I've actually had the opportunity to play around with Marks in Season 5 gear, and in the difference between live to what happens on here is such a difference. I mean, it's incredible how big the damage difference is, and to watch Jaws and Alaran able to do that with all these changes came through. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from Straight to the Top at all, but I do kind of agree with Twix in saying that I think TSG could have played a lot better here. And, the number one thing I'm going to look at is Zillia's positioning. It was subpar at best, and I really think that cost him a few rounds here and there. But still, it takes a team to really realize those situations and pull it through, and Straight to Top did that. And honestly, congratulations to them. It was great to watch them, and it's good to see them playing around the Season 5 gear and stuff, and I am looking forward to see them maybe at some future tournaments.
All right, so I mean, we've got Vive here with us now, and Vive, talk us through that last match, kind of what was going on, and I mean, Goff is blaming it all on Zillia and the bad positioning. What are your thoughts?
Valrath would definitely agree, since I just left our vent channel with him bitching him out about positioning to no end. I think he definitely could have done it better, but I don't know, like, first set comp, it's just, we don't really have much practice first set comp, and it's really hard to deal with. I can't even imagine trying to heal against it as a paladin. I've tried healing against it on my alt shaman, which is completely different, but you get a feel for it. It's just, incredibly difficult to even open your cast bar, positioning the side. But yeah, I mean, no excuses really. Just, the whole match just felt really weird. I don't really know what to say. Like, it seemed really slow paced, I guess, mostly because of the resilience changes. I think both of the warriors were incredibly rage starved. I couldn't even use my execute talent, so probably unspec out of that next time if we play him again. But as far as why we lost, really, I guess his position definitely could use some improvement. I'm not going to point the finger entirely at him. I think we just, as a team, need to, refine a better strategy for that comp.
Now, one of my big questions here, kind of after watching that game and everything, the things that are kind of bouncing back and forth, for you personally, would you like to see, the tournament realms upgraded to live gear or maybe a season or two up, or do you think that Season 5 gear is where it's at?
I don't know. It's really hard to say. I'd say before the resilience change, I'd say the tournament realm gear, Season 5 gear, I guess, was probably the best. I would say with the resilience change, maybe we need to up it one season because the damage seems a little slow. I know they don't want any more repeats of the 10-second matches they had at MLG, but right now my damage just seems incredibly weak. I'm not exactly sure what to blame it on, but maybe a season or two wouldn't hurt, or just a season rather.
All right. Well, honestly, I enjoyed watching the games. I thought they were, it definitely, it's a little weird, and I still think that everyone's kind of getting used to the changes, but, still, it's going to be one of those adapt and see what everybody comes up with. But still, I do kind of agree. I would like to see maybe a step up or so taken just to kind of bring things along to live. So it just, what people see playing at home, they can actually see at these tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because live comps are completely different than this, and that's bad for both tournament players and live players. You can't really go from one to the other. You don't know if your live comp's going to work or vice versa. So in that regard, I definitely think they should try to find some kind of middle ground even. I think live gear is just way out of control. They've itemized stuff way too quickly than they planned on, I think. So, I mean, that's obviously not an easy fix, but I guess the best way to fix that would maybe be to up it to the current season, see if the resilience patch is enough to accommodate that maybe.
Twix, you were going to actually say something real quick before we wrap things up here?
Well, actually, I think TSG outdamaged Straight to the Top every game, like at double their damage by the end of the game, and I think they had a lot of pressure out. It's just they got they got very close to kills a lot of times, and straight to the top just through stunning the paladin down could like finish them off when they wanted to make that swap. So I don't think straight to the top had a lot of like damage output pressure, but it was more like pressure into like swaps because you're just like stunned down and locked down the whole time.
All right, well, I think that's gonna about do it for our first little MLG special feature. I want to thank, of course, Keith for doing the amazing play-by-play that he's well known for. So thanks for that, Keith. Twix for joining us here with a little co-casting, and of course TSG and Straight to the Top for being our first two teams to play in this little weekly arena match. So that's gonna about do it for us here, and we will see you guys in the future with more shows like this and possibly some other tournaments.